Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Favi, and welcome back to Arrows DIY. On my channel, I like to do DollarTree DIYs, high-end dupes, thrift flips, and the occasional trash to treasure. Here's another episode in my spring series, and I'm so excited to show you some DIYs inspired by Christ our Savior. If you like unique home decor on a budget, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell to be notified every time I post a new video. Like I said, this is part of the Christ is Risen collaboration. There's a giveaway and it's hosted by myself. So I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. But for now, let's get started. For DIY number 1, I'm going to be using this wood blend wreath. And when I saw this wreath at DollarTree, I thought it would make the perfect crown of thorns. Now, I don't want mine to be so depressing, although I do think this is a very powerful piece. So what I did was I used my glue gun and I was trying to make some thorns. To create these thorns, you're going to use your glue gun. I have a detail tip glue gun, and you're just going to make a bead of hot glue. Just be sure when you're pulling your glue gun away from your bead of hot glue that you create kind of a sharp peak at the end with your hot glue. It also helps to hold your piece upside down, so gravity helps you create that peak. And this way it makes kind of like those 3D effect, that 3D effect of thorns without the sharpness of it. Since I have children, I wanted it to be safe. So now I'm going to use this color by Folk Art called Bark Brown, and I'm just going to color all of the hot glue peaks we made to symbolize the thorns. And it's going to take about 3 coats to fully cover them and to add depth to this piece. Once the brown paint is fully dry, we're going to go in with this antiquing wax and this kid paintbrush from DollarTree. My paintbrush is damp, and as you can see, I only put a little tiny bit of this antiquing wax. That way I can control the amount of antiquing wax I add to this piece. And I just continue adding and building on top of this crown, and just creating the depth of color that I like. You can distress as much as you like, depending on your project. So now I'm going to use some of these wood planks that I finally found at DollarTree, and I'm going to paint them. So I'm going to paint 2 of them white, and then I'm going to flip them over using this apple barrel black paint, and I'm going to paint the back. I paint the back as well as the sides. Now I used apple barrel because I did want that wood grain to show through. So the apple barrel line of paints is great if you still want some translucency in your paint color. So once the antiquing wax was dry, I went in and I went over the brown spots with some gold paint. I used the Antique Gold by Folk Art, and I just love this so much. You could also use red to symbolize the blood, but I use gold to symbolize the precious blood of Christ. So once I went ahead and I did that, now it's time to attach these to the wreath we're making. So I take 2 of these cable ties from DollarTree. I call them zip ties, whatever you call them. We're going to take 2 of them, and we're going to hot glue them to the middle of these planks once we have them in position. So I wanted this to be reversible, so I put one side to be white and the other to be black. So I'm going to lay 2 of these zip ties across and hot glue them and secure them with a little piece of excess cardboard I had around. And you want to make sure that you have about 1 inch of overhang on that zip tie, and that your zip ties are facing the correct position so that you are able to secure them successfully. So just make them face down and everything should be okay. Alright, so I did that to both planks of wood, these wood plaques. And once they're all secure and the hot glue is dry, we're going to go ahead and secure the wreath to this plank by pulling the zip ties securely. You don't want to tie them too tight just yet because you want to be able to manipulate them and get them in the right position. Once you're happy with the position, just cut off the excess of the cable tie. And then we're going to do the same exact thing with the other plank on the other side. So we're going to secure them the same exact way on both sides. Now, to keep this in place and to make this sign more secure, we're going to be using this excess piece of wood I just had in my stash. This is actually off of the foam brush, and I cut it with my miter shears a long time ago on another project. So once that's fully hot glued, I use Gorilla Hot Glue. I strongly recommend Gorilla Hot Glue. It's very strong and I just never have an issue with it. Once we have that secure, we're going to go ahead and cut off the excess of the cable ties. So this is what it's looking like for now, and I'm going to use this galvanized word from the DollarTree, and I'm just going to hot glue that on. You would want to use E6000, but for filming purposes, I'm just going to use hot glue. And again, I'm using Gorilla Hot Glue, so it has a really good chance of staying there, staying put. All right, so once we have that on, I'm going to take some of this flour sack towel, and this towel is going to represent the robes, our new white robes that Christ gives us, because we're filthy in sin, you know, just being human. So I'm just going to tie this on the top of the wreath to symbolize the new clean clothes that are washed with the blood of the Lamb. And it just gives a beautiful softness to this piece as well. So as you can see, I just tied a simple knot at the top there and just let it drape. I didn't want to cover too much of the crown of thorns. Now to add another decorative piece, I just took this wood hanging decor piece from the DollarTree, and at first I thought maybe I would keep that jute twine on there, but I thought that using cotton twine might be better because it matches better with the fabric on the wreath already. So I just took some cotton twine and I doubled it, and this cotton twine is about an arm's span length. So then I wrap it around the outside of the wreath, and then I make an X formation on the cross from the back of the cross. And as you can see, I'm just wrapping it around the actual wreath form and then securing it with a knot on the left side of the cross. I also secure it with a double knot and a little dot of hot glue, and it should be staying put. I didn't want to hot glue it or anything in case I do want to change this out for another decor piece. I don't usually decorate with crosses in my house, but let me know which is your favorite DIY in the comments down below, and you'll be entered to win one of my 2 DIYs today as part of the giveaway, symbolizing God's free gift of salvation through his son Jesus Christ. So now, just to finish it off, I added some greenery, but you feel free to add any greenery you like, or no greenery at all, or florals. But I'm going to put this on top of a wreath I already have at home. If you'd like to check out that video on how I made this wreath, I could link it above. Like I said, this is part of the Christ is Risen collaboration, and there's a whole group of creators, talented creators with beautiful creations inspired by Christ. And you can win any one of those DIYs if the creator is offering it in their video. Just leave a comment below that video to be entered to win that DIY. So generous, right? So be sure to check out every single video to see which one you can win. You can try more than once. Now for this next DIY, I'm going to be using this wood plaque I got at Walmart. It's from Plaid. Now I'm going to be using my favorite paper pack called Modern Farmhouse. I got this at Michael's on sale, and I'm just looking for a wood grain scrapbooking paper. So these were a couple I was trying to choose from. I wasn't sure which one, but I wanted to make a vintage piece inspired by Pinterest. So I saw this piece on Pinterest and I just wanted to recreate it with my own spin. That's the beauty of DIY. You could always customize this however you want, your papers, your style. But this is the one I saw and I really loved it. And I was inspired to use one of my favorite quotes from the Bible, the reason why Jesus had to go to heaven. So I'm going to go ahead and use this scrapbooking paper. And first I'm going to center it to the corners. I'm going to center it. And once I have it aligned to the corners, I'm going to cut out. Once I have the scrapbooking paper aligned to the corners, I'm going to crease it on all the sides so that I'm able to cut out this scrapbooking paper at the appropriate size. Now I'm going to use some of this Mod Podge. This Mod Podge is specifically made for paper. So it says to add the Mod Podge to the back of the scrapbooking paper. And then I just used my roller, my brayer, also by Mod Podge. I am a Plaid ambassador, so if you have any questions on Plaid ambassadorship or products, you could always leave me a comment below. I'd be happy to help. So once this is fully rolled and adhered fully to this plaque, I just go ahead and I seal the entire thing with another coat of paper Mod Podge. And I just put one thin coat, and you're gonna wanna let it dry for 2 hours. Once that's fully dry, while that's drying, I'm gonna go work on the other components of this DIY. I'm gonna use this wood plaque, I'm not sure. This same wood piece, the rectangle, I'm gonna use that. And I'm also gonna use the wide craft sticks from DollarTree. And I'm just going to cut them down to size so that they make one strip across horizontally on this plaque. This is fairly easy to do, and if you don't have miter shears, these garden shears from DollarTree are pretty amazing for cutting very tricky materials. I use them for florals, for plastics, for wood. I would strongly recommend picking them up in the spring when they're in stock. So now I'm going to use the same scrapbooking paper I used on the plaque. I'm going to use the excess of that scrapbooking paper, and I'm just going to cut them down to size to cover these craft sticks. And I connect them with hot glue. You could also use Mod Podge or whatever you want to do. I just used hot glue because it was just faster. But I also trimmed off any excess paper off the sides. So we did this for 3 of these horizontal strips. But before I adhere these strips to the plaque, I'm gonna use some of this antiquing wax on the edges. And this is gonna help provide some dimension on the piece and help separate the strips from the plaque itself. It's going to help it pop out more and give it more of that antique look. Next, I took some of the regular craft sticks and I cut those down using the same shears, and I made 12 little rectangles. I also used sandpaper and sanded down the edges to make them nice and round and help them look more finished. Now I'm going to use the same sandpaper and sand all around the edges to cut off the excess and help with this rustic vintage look. I go around all 4 sides, and then I go on to use this brushed metal paint. I paint all 12 of these little rectangle tags in this brushed metal color, brushed silver. So once they have 2 coats, I believe, I go ahead and let that dry. While that's drying, I paint the wooden plaque in this white Adirondack color because that's where I want to put a Bible verse. Now on your project, you could totally put whatever you want, but I love the idea of Jesus going to heaven to prepare a place for us. not just any place, but his father and our father has mansions. So I thought it'd be sweet to make a little key holder holding all of the keys, all of our keys to heaven, provided by Jesus Christ and his sacrifice. I mean, I just love the sentiment of it. So be sure to check out the playlist because there's going to be a ton of different interpretations and inspiration for the true meaning of Easter. I hope you guys enjoy the entire playlist. All right, so once I have all of these painted and dried, I'm going to take another little piece, a thin piece of scrapbooking paper, and I'm going to put it right in the center of those little tags. I also put some of the actual same wooden scrapbooking paper in the middle of two of those tags so that it looks empty, like our inspiration piece. So I wanted two of these tags to look empty, if that makes any sense. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I love making unique home decor on a budget. So now I'm just going to hot glue these in position, and I found it helpful to have all three of those strips next to each other to help me align them. And I just hot glue them in place, and I just used my eye to kind of center it. I don't really measure, but feel free to measure if that's what helps you for your project. So now I'm just using some Gorilla Hot Glue, and I'm just adhering them in the correct positions. Once they're all adhered, I'm going to use this picture hanging kit from DollarTree in the hardware section, and I'm going to use the gold nails. I feel like the gold in these nails is perfect since I'm trying to give a vintage antique vibe. The gold really gives the look I'm going for. So now just using a hammer, I'm going to carefully hammer right under those tags and through the wide craft stick. And you don't want to hammer too much because you might go through your plaque. And I did go through my plaque once at the bottom. I didn't realize it was a different nail. So just be careful when you're hammering and be mindful on the thickness of your wood. So once that's fully done, this is the verse that I picked. And I just printed this out. I typed this out and I printed this out just normally on my printer. And now I'm going to use the paintbrush technique to cut this paper out without having that harsh, sharp edge. So I'm just using paintbrush and some water to gently separate and create a tattered edge on my verse. So if you need to tear it, you could always slowly and carefully paint the water closer to your letters if you need to. Meaning you can go around as many times as you need to carefully trim off as much as you need. Once I was happy with the size of the paper, I used the paper Mod Podge once again, and I fully covered the back of this printer paper. So I was kind of worried that it was going to bleed because that has happened to me before with other Mod Podges, but there's something special about this paper Mod Podge, or maybe just the Holy Spirit was helping me on this project and made it not bleed, but it was perfect. I strongly recommend this paper Mod Podge for paper. Nothing bled, and I was really worried about that because that would have ruined my project. But anyways, everything turned out good, so no worries. Now, since I was filming, I wasn't at the right angle, so this verse isn't as aligned. It isn't as level as I would like it to be, but it's okay because we are going for a rustic vintage look, so I didn't mind it too much. And with all the embellishments that we're gonna add, I don't think it's gonna be that obvious, but I give myself grace. It's just crafting, right? So Let me know in the comments below which one of these 2 DIYs today was your favorite, and I would be more than happy to randomly choose a winner with the comment picker in the comments down below. And all of the creators that are offering their DIYs today will do the same thing. On the 27th, we'll announce the winners on our community tabs, or Instagram if we don't have community tabs yet. Now I took some of the same cotton twine and I just made a simple little loop just to make these little vintage keys feel aged. So I also attached a little sprig of greenery to one of the keys when I was tying them, and I really like this feature. I try to tie them all a little different just to add a little bit of interest. So to one of them I made a little tassel, and I really like how it came out. Now I got some of these stickers in my last video, my mystery box swap, and they were sent to me by Leah at Junker Necker, and we host the mystery box swap every 2 months, and it's so much fun. But she gave me these stickers and I thought it'd be the perfect opportunity to use them here. So I put the locket at the bottom, I put one of the keys on top next to the verse, and another key kind of slightly sideways on that second stick, on that second ledge there. And this is how it turned out. Let me know in the comments below what you think. I really like this one. I know it's different, but hey, my DIYs are unique, and you know, make it your own. That's what this is about. So if there's something you love, do it. And if there's something you would prefer instead, do that too. I just use another bit of cotton twine on the back of this project just so that I can hang it, and I secured it with a ribbon and hot glue. And that's pretty much it for this video. Don't forget to check out the playlist link in the description box below. Thank you to every single creator who created and part of this playlist. Guys, there is so much inspiration on that playlist. Please check it out because I am just amazed at the projects these ladies made. And this gent. So guys, be sure to check out that playlist. Let me know which one was your favorite so that you could be entered into the giveaway. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for all your support. Please help us shine the light by sharing this video, subscribing to this channel, hit that bell so you never miss a new video, and share this video so that YouTube can spread it all around the world. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. God bless. Catch you on the next one.